Yo, what's up guys, it's your boy Sami here. Today we are gonna see, what if Naruto becomes a sand ninja? Part 1, hope you'll enjoy this video. So before we start, please subscribe to our channel, and like this video. So let's get into the video. The battle was over. Kyuubi, who had destroyed much of the Leaf Village, was defeated. He was now trapped in the body of a newborn baby. It had cost the fourth's life, but the village was now safe from the monster. However, one problem still remained. "This thing is a danger to us all," said one Leaf Ninja to his friend, while pointing to the crying baby. "We have to kill it." "It doesn't feel right, killing a baby from our village," said the other. The two of them were alone in the room where the third had left the baby. Their job was to guard the child. "Then we won't. Let's just send it to a different village. Let them deal with the beast." "I don't. It's sad or death for the runt. I think Wind Country is a nice place to dump it." So it was decided. That night the two of them took the baby Naruto out of the village, and headed into the Wind Country. The plan was to go into the Wind Country, and find a nice sand dune near road, and leave him there. When they got back to the village they would claim he was stolen by an enemy, and they'd chase him for as long as they could. Before they left the child, one of them placed a note on the baby. His friend gave him a look. The note just gives a little information about him. His name, Naruto, and why we are doing this. I figure they have a right to know. As they began to leave the scene he looked back. "Sorry kid, I hope someone finds you." Naruto did the only thing he could do, cry. "That is so," cried an over-emotional Mahashi. My shirt was beginning to get drenched with her tears. The vein in my forehead began to grow. "Will you shut up?" About an hour later, Aoi, leader for the Sand Anbu, and chief of interrogation, was walking down the road. She had long, messy dark blue hair that ended at her shoulders, and lavender-colored eyes. She wore a black trench coat over her Anbu uniform to hide the two boomerangs that were on her sides. Her figure was ideal for a woman of 25. She was returning home from visiting her parents' shrine in Tea Country, when she heard the cry of baby Naruto. She slowly walked over to the child thinking it was a trap. The child had blonde hair, and blue eyes. He also had 3 whisker marks on each cheek. Then she noticed the note, which she picked up, and read to herself. "So, you're holding a demon inside of you, and your village does this to you. You poor thing," she says, as she picks up the baby. "Don't worry, I'll take care of you." "Ah, a scorpion." She flicks it off, and begins to race back to the village hidden in the sand. The sun was just coming up, as Aoi approached the gates of the village. A figure in blue and white robes stood in front of them, waiting for her. "You're late," said Kazukichi. "Sorry." "It's fine. So how are your parents, Moroku and Sango, doing?" "They're fine. I can't believe you are asking me about them," said Aoi with a smile. She and Kazukichi had grown up together, and he rarely asked about the well-being of others. "I don't care about them. However, if something is wrong with them, you might not be able to concentrate on your job." As he said this, he finally notices the baby in her arms. His eyes bugged out. "It hasn't been that long." "Okay, tell me what happened." Aoi told him about the baby, and the note. As she did this, the Kazukichi's eyes narrowed. Once she was done, he told her about the attack on the Leaf Village by Kyuubi. "So this is how they defeated the mighty Kyuubi," said the Kazukichi, as he examined the child. "Please tell me you aren't going to be keeping this son of a..." Before he could finish, Aoi's free hand went into her coat and pulled out a paper fan. Then she quickly moved behind the cage and began hitting him upside the head. "What have I told you about using foul language?" asked Aoi, as she continued her assault. When it was over, the cage had several new bumps on his head. "Why me?" asked the Kazukichi to the stars. Smiling, Aoi took the now crying child into the village. She stopped and turned around to face the cage as he got up. "You know, I think Naruto will be a great advantage to this village. 2 aces are better than 1. You must mean Gar. True, he will one day be an ace, but that is a long time from now, and much can happen." Aoi's smile grew wider. "Regrets, my dear friend. You were the one who wanted to turn your son into a demon container, resulting in the death of your wife. Who was the one who said no?" Let me think. "Oh yeah, it was me. Don't give me that bull about future problems. This is what I want. I want to be this child's mother, and to give him the best possible future. I want a family." "Fine, but on 2 conditions," said the Kazukichi with a hint of malice in his voice. She had hit his sore spot. He was still getting over the death of his wife that only happened a few months ago. "Very well, what are they?" "First, you can't ask for a raise." Aoi's face folded. "Find a cheapskate. The other is to tell Naruto, which is a weird name by the way, the truth of his origins. Where he is from, and why they discarded him. Let's see how well he handles it." "Very well," said Aoi. "Now, if you will excuse me, I have some things to buy now that I'm a mother." 5 years later. Aoi had gotten up early to make breakfast. Perhaps it was guilt that made her wake up so early. Last night she had told Naruto about the note, where he was from, and where she picked him up. He did cry, but the look in his eyes spoke volumes of hurt and anger. Aoi feared her days of being called a mother were close to an end. Aoi and Naruto live in a nice 2-story house near the Kazukichi's palace. The inside was decorated with weapons on every wall including the bathroom. There were also a lot of pictures. Some of her parents and their friends back when they were still young. Others were of her and the Kazukichi growing up. The new ones, that had replaced some of the ones including the Kazukichi, were of her and Naruto. Karara was sleeping on the kitchen table when you walked into the room. She woke up, gave a cat-like yawn, and left fearing she would have to taste test breakfast. Suddenly, there was a knock on the door. Aoi sighed wondering who it was. She opened the door to see her favorite half-demon holding in his hand several letters. "Why is your mail coming to my place?" asked Inuyasha as he handed her the letters. After the fight with Naraku ended, he married Kagome and was living in the village that was once home to old priestess Keat in Tea Country. Kagome was now a priestess. "Sorry," said Aoi with a little blush. "I don't want anyone around here to know about these, so I gave them your address. I can't believe I got some answers." "What are they about?" "These are answers to a personal ad I put in the paper." "Let's see who we got here." Toad Hermit, pass. "Long live the power of youth, maybe." "My wife is troublesome, not my problem buddy." What's this?" "They gave me that one when I entered this village. Right after they took the present I got for Naruto. Kagome is going to kill me." As he said this, his voice became more of a whimper. Aoi looked at the scroll that had the symbol of the Kazukichi on it. Inside was information on when and where to meet him. "Can't you just call me on the phone like a normal person?" "Don't worry about it, I'll get it from the guards." "So tell me, what did you get him?" "You better not have put in the flea again." "No, I got him something useful. A brand new demon katana, I'm sure he'll love it. It would give a 5-year-old a sword." "Me?" Before Aoi could go into this any further, something from behind her jumped at Inuyasha. He caught it with his right hand by the collar and gave Naruto a big smile. He was wearing pajamas with little foxes all over. "How's it going, blonde?" "Fine. Did you come out here to wish me a happy birthday?" "Yeah, and I even had a present just for you, but these mean guards took it." "I mean, why do they assume everything that comes in a box with a bow on it is a boom?" "Well," began Aoi, "there was an incident about 20 years ago. A package came for the last Kazukichi that was full of deadly insects, snakes, and some explosives. Talk about overkill." Both Naruto and Inuyasha sweetly dropped. "Well, I better get going, or my wife will kill me. Just because I still have my good looks she thinks I'm going to twice her. Well, happy birthday, kid." With that, Inuyasha left the boy and his mother and headed home, knowing there would be some sit commands coming his way. Back at the house, Naruto was scared to see his mother cooking again. The last time she tried, she had created some new kind of explosive and destroyed half of the house. "Mom, how about cereal and milk instead? It might be safer for us." "Ah, sure thing, sweetie," said Aoi. As she got out the bowl, she asked the big question. "Honey, why did you call me mom? After last night I thought you wouldn't want to see or speak to me anymore." "I mean, I kept something that important from you for a while now." Naruto simply gave her his big foxy smile and placed his hands behind his head. "I know, and I was angry for a while. But you kept me knowing that I have a demon inside of me. You took me in when anyone else might have just left me there to be buzzard food." Naruto's smile never left his face as he said this. Well, until he heard a sniff from his mother as she was holding back the tears. The next thing he knew, she was behind him. She put her arms around him for a hug, picked him up, and started swinging him back and forth. "Mom, stopped. Couldn't breathe, please," breathed Naruto. Aoi sat him down and looked him in the eye. "Well, for that young man you get to pick out dinner. Raymond. Okay, I have to meet the Kazukichi today, so you behave." With that, they started to eat, but stopped and ran to the bathroom. Aoi forgot to check and see if the milk had expired. Later that day, Aoi was at the sushi bar that the Kazukichi had told her to meet at. She had just placed her order when he sat down next to her. "Sir, what is this about?" "I want to know how it went with Naruto. That's all." "You must be bored to ask about that." Well, to answer that, he was shaken up at first, but got over it. Aoi stopped and gave the Kazukichi a big smile. "He's just so cute." Cute, as before he could finish, the back of his head was hit by a certain paper fan. Grumbling, me continued. "Did you know what he did last week?" "I'll tell you. He switched all the bathroom signs at the Sand Academy. It was chaos." Aoi started laughing. "That was so funny when you walked into old lady Rukia while she was on the john. You don't know if Naruto did that." The Kazukichi sighed. "He takes after you too much. Like a mother, like a son." "I'll take that as a compliment. I do need something from you, Aoi. An assassin for tonight." "Who is the target?" "Wait, let me guess. You soon again." "Well, the answer is no. I will not take Anbu off duty to kill a 5-year-old boy. How about you act like a father for a change and talk to the boy, get to know him. You may have love for demons, but I don't. That sand of his is scaring everyone. He can't control it yet. Just give him some time and things will be fine. He's actually very nice once you get past those circles around his eyes." "Yeah, my food is here." The Kazukichi got up and left. He knew that she wouldn't do it, and he couldn't get any of her elites to do it either. They were too loyal to her. He left to find someone who could do the job. Meanwhile, Naruto was walking around the desert village looking for something to do. He was wearing a white shirt with the symbol of the sand village on its front, and blue shorts. He heard some kids shout, "It's Gar." Naruto ran to where the sound came from, and stopped. He saw a small boy there with black pants, a dark-colored shirt, and some sort of cloth that was draped around his neck and went down to his stomach. He had messy red hair that was cut short and pale blue eyes with dark circles around them. This was not why Naruto stopped. He stopped because the sand was grabbing one of the kids who were trying to get away. "Don't leave me alone," cried the redhead. Then sand from around him began to merge, and then shot at the captive boy. Naruto, who likes to take action first, quickly jumped into the path of the sand, and took up a guarding position. The sand hit him hard, but he didn't back down. Then the sand let go of the captive boy, who then ran over to the others who were cheering for Naruto. "What's going on here?" asked Naruto. "Why did you attack them? And when was the last time you got any sleep?" After the last question everyone but Gar's sweet dropped. Then one of the boys behind Naruto spoke up. "We were playing with that ball when it got stuck up on a wall. We didn't know what to do when he used his evil sand to get it. Then he started walking over to us, and we were scared." "Why were you scared?" "Because he's a monster." Naruto then noticed that the boy was holding the ball and was shaking all over. Naruto began to remember his mother talking about a boy she watched sometimes that had the power to control sand. His eyes then narrowed as he looked at the red-headed boy. "Your name is Gar, right?" asked Naruto. All the boy could do was nod. He could feel a killer intent coming for the blonde in front of him. Then the blonde-haired boy began to slowly walk towards him. He stopped about a foot away and placed a hand on the ball Gar was holding. "Thank you," he said to Gar. As he did, his expression changed to a warm smile that calmed Gar down in a heartbeat. But a second later the killer intent was back, and he turned to face the children in back of him. "What's the matter with you ingrates? He does you a favor, and this is how you say thank you." Naruto grabs the ball from Gar and throws it at the children. "Take it, and get out of here. If you do this to him again you will have me to deal with." The kids ran away as fast as they could. "As for you, Gar, you shouldn't try to make friends with people like them. They are just fools. My name is Naruto." "So, why did they call you a monster?" Gar gulped. He knew Naruto would hate him once he found out. Better to tell him now, and get it over with. "I have a demon inside of me. It's been there since birth." Naruto's reaction was not what he expected. He began to smile, and jump up and down. "Wow, same here. I thought there was no one else like me in the world. I mean, I know there are half demons, but I didn't know there were more demon containers out there." "So what kind of demon do you have inside of you?" "An owl." "A raccoon." "That's cool. I have a fox named Kyuubi," said the still smiling Naruto. "Let's play some games." Gaara blinked. "Why would you want to? We just met. Can you give me a reason not to?" "My dad, he's Kazekage. So, my mom's the leader of the Anbu, and chief of interrogation. And she kicks your dad's ass." Naruto was suddenly hit in the back of the head by a small rock, and fell face down into the sand. On the rock there was a note. Gaara picked it up, and read it. "Dear Naruto, what have I told you about using that kind of language? Love, Mom." Gaara's sweet dropped after he was down reading the letter. Then he started to laugh. Naruto got up, and started to laugh as well. They played until Gaara's uncle came to pick him up, and then Naruto met up with his mom at the cheap ramen stand where they always went. Later that night, Naruto was jumping from rooftop to rooftop, thinking of how he could pull off his next big prank. This was going to be his best work yet. He then heard a loud cry, and he decided to check it out. It was Gaara, but now the word love was written on his head, and there was a dead body in front of him. What happened here?" asked Naruto to the sobbing Gaara. "Why do you care? You all hate me. I thought that at least Yashimaru loved me, but he didn't. He tried to kill me under my father's orders, because he wanted to. He said I am a failure, that needs to be destroyed." This was a bit too much for Naruto to take in, and think of the right thing to say. So he walked over to Gaara, and, before his sand could stop him, hit the top of his head. "What was that for?" cried an angry Gaara. His anger was growing, and the sand around him was swirling around him. "To knock some sense into you. I care because I'm your friend, you idiot. Can't you even figure that out?" This shut Gaara up. "I have some idea what you are going to throw. I wasn't born in hidden sand. On the day I was born my village sealed the Kyuubi inside of me, and then tossed me aside to ride. How do you think I felt when I found out?" On hearing this, Gaara calmed down a little. "I just don't know who to trust now," said Gaara. "Well, trust is hard for everyone. Or at least that's what I've been told. Tell you what, if you ever find out that I'm plotting against you can kill me on the stop. How's that sound?" "I don't think that will be necessary." "Hey Gaara, you want to hear my dream?" asked Naruto. "It's to become Kazekage, and change the way this place works. I want this village to be a place where demons, half-demons, and humans can all live together in peace." "That sounds nice," said Gaara. Then he began to laugh. "You know I'll do the same. Just in case you can't make it." Ha, I'll do it before you get rid of your nightlight. The two of them then started to laugh. They laughed until their sides hurt, and tears came down their eyes. When they both stopped, an idea came to Naruto. Hey Gar, can you help me with a prank? That morning when everyone, except the people at Gar and Naruto's house, woke up to go to the bathroom, they found an avalanche of sand coming right towards them. Gar was walking down the street with his teddy bear. The people who saw him looked at him with fear and hatred. It had grown since the death of his uncle, but Gar was fine with it. After all, he had Naruto now. Ever since that night in October, Gar and Naruto have been inseparable. Together, they were the great team of pranksters the village had seen since Aoi. From drawing mustaches on people's faces to burning dog poop in burning bags, and anything else they could think of. With Naruto's planning, as well as his stamina, and Gar's insomnia, there was no challenge, in their minds, they couldn't overcome. However, today Gar was alone. This caught the attention of a couple of 10-year-olds who saw this, and decided to get some payback. Hey monster, where's the other one? Asked one of the boys to the little 6-year-old. He's not feeling well today, said Gar. He has a high fever, and I was going to get some medicine to help him out. Isn't that sweet, said another boy with a mocking tone. He's trying to help his friend. I bet we are in the way, and you need to hurry. Well, too bad. The boys began to laugh while Gar remained unaffected by this. Suddenly, one of the boys grabbed his teddy bear. Please give that back, said Gar in a calm tone. She doesn't like to be with other people. She'll get ever angry. Hey guys, said the first, what should we do with this? Rip his arms out or stick an exploding note on it. At this they all began to laugh, tossing the bear around to each other. However, they stopped when they heard a voice. Stop that, I'm getting dizzy. The boys looked around to see where the sound came from. Down here, said the bear. What the heck is going on? Asked one of the boys. Then the bear jumped onto the ground, landing on its face. The boys looked at it in shock as it got up and brushed itself off. They huddled together in fear as Gar stood where he was with no emotions. Then the bear turned to face them. You jerks, I am not a toy. I am a great demon who watches over this boy. Now you must repent for what you have done to me. As the bear said this, he began to grow. Claws sprouted out of its paws and feet. His mouth opened, and the boys could see several rows of sharp fangs. It stopped growing once it was 20 feet tall. The boys began to cry and wet themselves. They begged the bear creature not to eat them. They said they had learned their lesson. Very well, laughed the bear. I just have one thing left to say before I go. What's that? Asked the boys in unison, voices shaking. Gotcha. The bear went poof, and was replaced with a 5-year-old boy with blonde hair, blue eyes, and 3 whisker marks on his big smiling face. The boys fainted at this, their eyes wide open and white. Gar could no longer hold back the laugh he had been suppressing since the beginning of this prank. Naruto joined him as he walked over to his friend. Best idea ever, laughed Gar. When we get to the academy, you are going to roll a transformation. Was there ever a doubt? Said Naruto. It took me a week to get this to work, but it was worth it. Just then, one of the boys' mothers came over with an angry expression on her face. The boys just looked at her with a calm expression on their faces. You little brats. I'm going to make you feel like shy. She was cut off, as Aoi exploded from the sand underneath them, and smacked her with her paper fan. Please don't swear in front of children, said Aoi with a calm tone and a smile on her face. You don't know what happened here, so don't tell me what to do, shouted the angry mother. But I do know what happened, as I saw the whole thing. Aoi turned to Naruto. That was very good, Naruto. I'm so glad I showed you how, and how you were using it. She turned back to the mother. If you were watching, you would have seen that it was those sorry excuses of academy students that started it. Shut up, you whack. Stop that, you whack. Shy whack. With that, the mother ran, grabbed her son, and ran from Aoi. Later, all 3 of them were eating ramen while laughing at what had happened. They did this every time the boys played a prank, so it happened often. To Aoi, the ability to pull such pranks was a key step in becoming a true ninja. They combined planning, stealth, and, with these boys, teamwork. Anyone who would fall for these pranks shouldn't call themselves ninja, in her opinion. So, said Aoi to the boys, are you two ready for your trip tomorrow? The boys nod. Good. Now I want you both to behave as best you can since I won't be able to join you. Why not, Mom? Aoi begins to cry. It's because the Kazakige won't let me. He says that I have used up all of my vacation time. She lets out a big sigh and then goes back to her usual sunny self. By the way, Gar, I want you to do me a favor. The next day Aoi was working in her office. It was a small room found in the basement of the Kazakige's palace, known only to a select few. The office itself was dark, cold, and damp when she first took over. However, now it has changed over the years to make itself more cozy. The walls were painted blue, and on the walls were pictures of each Anbu doing something in their free time. Behind Aoi's desk was a group photo of them all smiling without their masks with Aoi in front. Suddenly, the door to her office flew open as the Kazakige came in. When Aoi looked up, she could tell he was angry by the veins in his forehead. Where is she? Demanded the Kazakige. Aoi, of course, knew who he was talking about. But where was the fun in just telling him? After all, it was better than paperwork. Which she are you referring to? The old woman in the cafeteria is homesick, so don't get the meatloaf. I think your receptionist showed up, but I can't be sure, since I haven't been up there yet. Let's see, who else could it be? She began resting her head in her palms, pretending to think. Temari. That is who I am talking about. I have been looking all over for her, but can't find her. So, why come to me? It's part of your job to keep me and my family safe. Aoi laughed. That's rich. A few weeks ago you wanted me personally to slip poison in your son's water when he spent the night with Naruto and me. Now you say it is my job to keep your kids safe. Gaara is an exception. Now find my daughter. Relax, I know where she is, said Aoi while she giggled like a schoolgirl. Well, tell me. She went with Naruto and Gaara to the reunion at my parents' place. I asked Gaara to ask her if she wanted to go. It took a little convincing on Gaara's part, but in the end she decided to go. I bet they are having fun. Why didn't you ask me, her father? You won't say yes. Of course I won't. Those people are nutcases. You only say that because they have a sense of humor. Relax, think of this time as a little vacation for the worries of fatherhood. Of course you never act like a father, but that's beside the point. The Kazukiichi just stared at her for several seconds. Just how long do you think you can get away with these insults to me? Sorry. I'm just stating facts based on what I can see. Besides, you look so cute when you get angry. Before the Kazukiichi could respond, an Anbu member wearing a panda mask came in. Lady Aoi, we have an intruder in the village. Any clue to who it is? Asked Aoi. No ma'am, said the Anbu. All I can tell you is that he has white hair, and his last known location was near the women's bathhouse. A pervert, said Aoi with a sigh. Then an idea came to her that caused her to grin in a way that sent shivers into everyone's smiles. Well, it looks like this is a good time to try out a new thing that was just brought to my attention. This caused the Kazukiichi to raise his eyebrow. Who created it? What does it do? Aoi said nothing to him. She simply got up, walked over to the Anbu, and whispered in his ear. The Anbu gulped. I thought you were joking when you last brought up that, said the Anbu. Get all available Anbu to the bathhouse, and let them know what to do. You will tell them that you will all be using that technique. Once he is unconscious, have him brought to the holding cell. Now go. The Anbu left. So, now will you tell me what you are using? Asked the Kazukiichi. His patience was wearing thin. Sure. It's called. Meanwhile, Kurara was flying towards Tea Country with 3 small children on her back. Wow, so this is what it's like to fly, cried Temari. Yeah, it's great, said Naruto. My mom and I do this all the time. Hey Gar, what's wrong, you don't look so well? To say that Gar didn't look well was an understatement. He looked terrible. His face was bright green, and his cheeks looked puffy. He was also panting. I don't feel so good, moaned Gar. Must be airsick. Don't worry, my mom says that some people get it. It took them about an hour to get to their location, stopping only to calm Gar's stomach. The last spot they landed at was a clearing about a half a mile away from Moroku's temple. When they got off, Gar laid down on the ground and started to hug the earth. Let's just walk the rest of the way, suggested Naruto. Thanks Naruto, you really are a good friend, said Gar while his eyes acted like water hoses. Gar got up and then readjusted his gourd that he had gotten from Naruto for his birthday. Can we just get going, sighed Temari. She was dressed in a white shirt and pants. Her hair was tied into a single, short ponytail. With that they began walking to the temple. While they walked, Naruto told them that this reunion was held to celebrate the defeat of Naraku and to remember those who fell that day. He also told them that they wouldn't be the only kids there, so they would have people to play with. Also, don't stare at Kagura or say something that makes her sound weak. We still haven't found the remains of the last group of people who did that. Those poor Boy Scouts. Hey, interrupted Temari. Is it? She pointed to a temple that looked a little run down. In the yard there seemed to be a small hole. Yes, we're here. Naruto began to smile, and suddenly Fox ears popped onto his head. Hey, can you two please go on ahead? I have to get something ready. So, what do you think he's planning? Asked Temari, as they walked to the temple. No clue, replied her brother. When the two of them reached the temple, they didn't see anyone at first. They began to look around for signs of other people until they heard a voice behind them. Who goes there? The two siblings turned around, but saw no one. Down here, the voice cried. On the ground was the flea demon Myoga. Now don't make me repeat myself, yelled the demon. Who are you, and why are you here? I'm Gar, and this is my sister Temari. We're friends of Naruto. He invited us to this celebration. Oh, well, why didn't you say so? I'm Myoga, servant of Master Inuyasha. The party's going on in the back. Come on, let's go. The two Sand siblings walked around to the backyard of the temple where they stopped to look at the strange bunch that had gathered. Inuyasha, who looked like he hadn't changed at all, was helping Kagura put up some pinatas of Naraku. Shippo, who looked like he was 16, and wearing a similar outfit that he had when he first met them all, was helping the gray-haired Sango bring out snacks. Kagome, who was in her late 40s, was watching her twin children as they played in the yard. Koga was trying to get out of Aim's death grip, while Moroku was just laughing. Master Inuyasha, we have extra guests. They claim to be friends of Naruto, yelling at the flea. Well, come on over you too, said Moroku, as he moved some of his gray hair away from his face. In a short time they meet with everyone. Even though Gaara's personality had become more open, he was still a bit shy around these people. So, where is Naruto? Asked Hanyu. He was Inuyasha's son, and was about 30 years old. However, he looked 12, and looked like a mini-me version of his father in a blue kimono. Demon blood does the body good. Yeah, I was hoping he'd come, said Momiji. She was Inuyasha's daughter, and resembled more of her mother. Also appearing about 12, the only thing that looked odd about her was her dog ears. He said he would be here soon, said Temari. He said he had to get something ready. Inuyasha, came a soft dreamy voice from behind everyone. They all turned to see a very familiar Maiko. Kikyo, stammered Inuyasha. He then began to run up to her to give her a big hug when she went poof, and in her place stood Naruto. Why you little? He stopped, as he felt a very familiar anger behind him. Inuyasha. Wait, Kagome, I can explain. Before he could say any more, Kagome began a very long series of sit commands. Now Naruto began Moroku, that wasn't very nice. He deserves this, said Shippo. Everyone else nods while Kagura simply watches with a smile on her face. Gaara and Temari looked a bit confused. So they were told that the person Naruto impersonated was an old girlfriend of Inuyasha's. They all watched for another minute and then went to start the party. So Shippo, how are things going with you? Asked Naruto, as he began to hit the Naraku Pinata. Fine, just fine. The ladies just can't get enough of me. Misayan, why are you holding on to Koga like that? Asked Gaara. Because every time I let go he tries to run away. So, you Kagura, said Temari. I don't see how wind is of any use in battle. Would you like me to show you? An hour later, Kagome's voice gave out, and Inuyasha crawled out of the crater. Back in hidden sand, Aoi walked into the interrogation room. There, clad in special chains that absorbed chakra. So Jiraiya, we met again. I haven't seen you since I took the Chunin exam. Aoi, looking as sexy as ever. I was just doing some research when I saw a vision of heaven that quickly went sour. A small tear came to his eye when he was finished. You must be referring to the sexy jutsu that my son created. I was wondering when it would come in handy. She closed her eyes and gave him a sweet smile. You're married? When, and to who? Please give me the details. No, I adopted him. Now tell me, what are you doing here? Truth be told, I'm looking for a boy. The third asked me to find him about 5 years ago. Before we killed the 2 kidnappers, we were able to find out that they left him here in Wind Country. Other than that, I have no leads or clues as to where he is or if he's still alive. I see. And what will you do when you find him? Take him back to Hidden Leaf, what else? I doubt he would want to. If this boy you are looking for is still alive, he must have been adopted and living his own life. What right do you have to take the life of a young boy away from him? Jiraiya stared at her. He had only met her a handful of times, and she always talked in a calm and gentle manner. However, her voice had become very angry, and her body was shaking. He took this information in, and decided to get more information. He might have been so fortunate. He could be a slave or homeless. If he would come back with me, he could be safe, and be trained to protect himself. No, I'm sure that he is fine, and well loved. She was now sending out a powerful killer intent that would have made the Kazukiage run home, and hide under his bed. Aoi would never let Naruto go, and would kill this man in front of her before she let that happen. So, you have Naruto, don't you? Don't even think of denying it. Your emotions have given it all away. What happens now? I'm not sure, said Jiraiya. May I ask you a question? Aoi looked at Jiraiya with the utmost hate. She knew he was just trying to gather more information from her. But then, what could he do? The chains that bind him were sucking away his chakra little by little. If he were to escape, somehow, she could just use that. Fine, ask away. How does the boy get along here? Why do you ask? Jiraiya sighed. As you know, the Kyuubi destroyed many lives. The people back at the Leaf are finally done rebuilding and moving on with their lives. If its container were to come back, they might not act too kind to him. He would become a target for the people's hate. That is no way for a child to grow up. However, if his treatment here is no better or worse, then I could give him hope at the prospect of a new home. False hope, you mean? Very well, I'll tell you what you want to know. The truth is that many people look at him as an annoyance. Unlike Gaara, Naruto seems to keep his demon under check, and the people realize that he also keeps Gaara sane. However, he is a bit on the loud side. Well, he is very loud, and very over-energetic. So, would the people mind if he left? For the most part, yes. At first, the people of the sand would like him to leave, so they could get some peace and quiet. But that would change quickly for 2 reasons. The first is Gaara. With Naruto gone, Gaara would revert back into his old self, and most likely go on a killing spree. The other is that, well, the people don't realize this, they need him to keep up their spirits. Ever since he could walk, he's been pulling pranks. Because of these pranks, the people's spirits have lifted. People have been smiling more in the last 2 years than they have in the last 10. I see, said Jiraiya while taking in this new information. He chuckled slightly. The way you talk about him reminds me of another person that you and I both know. Aoi closed her eyes. She remembered the day she met him. It was the final round in the third part of the exam. Aoi was first up and staring at her opponent, Arashi Kazama. She was wearing neon pink pants and a matching top with no sleeves. Her hair was short, think of Hinata's, but very messy. On her sides were her boomerangs, which were made of demon bones, and she had Karara on her shoulder, ready to fight. Arashi was wearing a similar outfit, except it wasn't pink. His blue training clothes matched his eyes perfectly. He had a cocky smile on his face, and was waving at the people who were cheering for him to win. Well now, can we please get started, said Aoi with her sweetest smile. There are others who have to fight today. The blonde laughed, and started to rub the back of his head. I guess you got a point. No hard feelings when this is over, right? Would never dream of it, said Aoi who was still smiling. Hey, said the judge, interrupting them before they could continue their conversation. You two are being too friendly. First match, begin. Let's get it on. Aoi quickly grabbed her 2 boomerangs. Double hair katsu, she shouted, as she threw them both. Arashi dodged the attack, and came at her holding a shuriken in each hand. Aoi's weapons returned to her just in time to block his attack. Not bad, maybe I'll have to go all out with you, said a still grinning Aoi, as she blocked each of his strikes. Arashi was smiling, as well. Well, to tell the truth, I'd rather you just go out with me. But, this works too. Up in the balcony with the other participants, a younger version of the Kazakage watched the match with a scowl. His other teammate, Bucky, noticed this. What's wrong, asked Bucky. It's Aoi. She's playing with him, enjoying herself. She could have finished him by now, but she'd rather use those toys of hers. Lighten up a bit. She's probably saving it for the end. You know, a big finish. She takes being a kunoichi too lightly. She is a fool. Oh really, said Bucky to his teammate. Are you saying that, because she is having fun flirting with that leaf nin? A vein appeared on the Kazakige's forehead at that point. It continued to grow, as Bucky continued. I mean, I can see why she is having a fun time. He's funny, looks better than you, and I bet he's smarter than you. Let's not forget that he's polite. Why, if he was in our village, I bet they would be dating now, and you'd never have had a chance. Bucky, said the future Kazakige. Yes? Speak again, and I'll slit your throat, and do things that even Wes Craven could dream up. Back in the arena, Aoi and Arashi are still going at it. Each time one attacks, the other blocks. In other words, a standstill. Or at least that was what Arashi thought. Karara jumped off Aoi's shoulder and landed on the ground. Looks like your kitty is abandoning you, Aoi. Maybe you should try toads, they are much more reliable. You think she's leaving me, think again. Behind Arashi, Karara grew to her big form, you know what I'm talking about, and growled at him. Let me make this simple for you, said Aoi. You have 2 choices. 1, surrender, and no harm will come to you. Your other choice is to continue, but then you'll get a large scratch on your back. At that, Karara lifted one of her front paws for effect. Well, I am having a good time right now, so let's not end it so soon. If you insist. With that, Karara lunged at Arashi and made contact with his back. However, he went poof, and in his place was a log. 2 against 1, doesn't seem very fair, said Arashi from halfway across the field. Arashi, cried Jiraiya from the stands. Stop flirting, and pay attention. I got a lot of money riding on you. They did you bet with the Iro-sanin, yelled Arashi. Orochimaru, now quite wasting time, and finishing this. Fine, fine. Let's do this. Shadow Clone Jutsu. Suddenly there were 10 Arashis, all holding shurikens. You call that fair? Fine, double Hirokatsu. She hit one of the clones, as they charged at her. Well, I was saving this for the last match, but you're worth it. Wind Tunnel Jutsu. With that, a large black hole appeared in front of Aoi, and began to suck up everything. The clones didn't stand a chance. Arashi was using his chakra to keep himself planted, but it wouldn't last long. He couldn't move his feet to get out of the way, and there was now use throwing things at her. Only one choice left, he thought. Toad Summoning Jutsu. With that, Gamabunta appeared. Hey Gamabunta, can you please knock her out? Fine, just don't bother me again for a while, said the large toad. With that, his large tongue shot out around the range of the wind tunnel, and hit the ground a foot away from her. The force sent her flying into the wall. It was over. When Aoi opened her eyes again, she saw Arashi standing above her with a worried look. You okay? He asked. Aoi smiled. What a gentleman. I'll be fine. Arashi helped her get back on her feet. Hey Aoi, shouted the future Kazakige. Stop the stupid grinning, you lost. Before he could finish, one of Aoi's boomerangs hit him on the side of his head. Stop that, you wham, it happened again. You can't do this forever, you, as he just doesn't learn, does he? That was the first time we met, said Aoi to Jiraiya in the present. Come to think of it, Naruto does remind her of him. So, is he Rashi's son? He wasn't married, but that doesn't mean he didn't fool around. So, who knows, answered Jiraiya. Will you be taking my son away? Jiraiya paused for a moment. What should he do? He had his orders, and he knew he had to follow them. But, if he did, he would be ripping apart the life of a 5-year-old boy whose life had barely begun. He would lose his friends, home, and a very loving, if not a bit weird, mother. In the leaf he would have nothing. But, then again, if he didn't he wouldn't get paid. Jiraiya then remembers what you could do to him if he decided to take the boy. The wind tunnel jutsu was something to be feared, especially in his current condition. No Aoi. I won't take your son. Back in Tea Country, the 3 young Saiyans were learning from the seasoned fighters that they were staying with. It was late, near sundown, but the children were in awe of the powers they saw. Temari was with Sango and Kagura. Kagura had just finished showing off her dance of the dragon technique to the young blonde female. Wow, all that from that tiny fan. And no hand symbols either, exclaimed Temari. Kagura smiled. Yes, the fan is a wind user's best friend. It is both a graceful weapon, as well as stylish. But don't forget, interrupted Sango, that it is also the biggest weakness. Once the fan is damaged, it can't make wind. That means the owner can't use any attacks with it. Just what are you trying to say? Asked Kagura, who had several ticks. Are you suggesting that my fan is weak? Well, it is tiny and fragile, commented Sango. Well, it beats carrying that idiotic boomerang around. Excuse me. My Hirokatsu is more reliable than that fan. You just think bigger is better. Bigger only means it has a better chance at hitting stuff in a brutish fashion. It's nothing short of barbaric. You want a piece of me? Temari just watched as these 2 women got ready to fight. Naruto was with Inuyasha and Koga. They were eating the one food they all agreed on, ramen. This is so good, cried Inuyasha, who was on his 6th helping. You bet it is, cried Naruto, who was on his 9th. It's good, but not that good. This came from Koga, who had only had 2. Well, said Inuyasha, better get down to business. Naruto, that katana I gave you is a demon blade made just for you. Really? Can it do the wind scar backlash wave like yours can? Asked an anxious Naruto. Kid, if I did give you something like that your mother would kill me. But don't worry, the Kitsune Saika has powers all of its own. It was made from one of my fangs, and some of Kyuubi's fur. Like my Tessega, it has a barrier on it to keep people with demonic chakra from using it. From what I can remember, it has 2 attacks. The first is called Kitsune Wave, and the other is Kitsune Strike. That's all the old crew told me. Naruto looked disappointed. Last year he saw Kagura and Inuyasha fighting. During that fight, he saw those 2 attacks, and thought they were awesome. He had been hoping for at least a backlash wave. So, how will I know when or how to use them? Asked Naruto. Well, demon swords have a will of their own. They tend to show its owner their power, when it feels they're worthy. Plus, you need to bring out some of your demonic chakra to use them, as well. I don't know how to do that, said Naruto. He hung his head low. Gaara could use his demon powers at will. All he had was self-healing and stamina. We'll see about that, thought Inuyasha. Later that night, Gaara was trying to force himself to sleep. This, however, just wasn't happening. Thanks to his demon, he found himself unable to sleep. This caused him to have many boring nights with nothing to do. Moroku came into his room to check up on the boy. Gaara, why are you still up? I don't sleep. Come again. Gaara sighed. I don't sleep. I have never slept a day in my life. Maybe a story might help you sleep. He watched as Gaara's eyes lit up. Really? You'll read me a story? No one has ever done that for me before. Really? That's a pity. Let me go find a nice book from the temple's collection. With that, the monk left the room and headed for the library. When he got there, he found he had run into a slight problem. What to read to a 6-year-old boy? The library had many books that Kagome had brought with her from her year, but they weren't something you read to a boy as a bedtime story. A religious scroll. Even he hadn't read them all, and found the ones he had read dull and uninteresting. There were no children, and Moroku was not going to break his promise to the small boy. Well, I guess I'll just read him this book. I'm sure he won't mind. He went over to a wall scroll on the side of the room and pulled it back. Behind it was a safe where he kept hidden his treasure. He only brought it out during emergencies or when his wife was away. And this was an emergency. He opened the safe, took out the treasure, and went back to Gaara. I hope you enjoyed this, Gaara, said the monk as he held up his first edition of Icha Icha Paradise. The next morning Naruto went to check up on Gaara. For some reason he hadn't come to breakfast, and usually he was the first to show up. Naruto found his friend sitting in his room staring into space, his eyes wider than he had ever seen them before. Gaara, are okay? Gaara just nodded his head. Later, at about noon, Inuyasha called both of the young demon vessels out to the field. When the boys got there they saw that he had a stern look on his face. What's wrong? Asked Naruto. Well, there's no easy way to say this, so I'll be direct. You two have power that gives you an advantage over most people. The problem is that you can tap into it or use it to its full extent. It's a similar problem with half-demons. There's one way I know how to help you both. Mr. Inuyasha asked Gar, as Inuyasha pulled out his sword. This wins Scar, said Inuyasha, as his attack raced towards the boys. To say they were scared would be an understatement. They were beyond that. There was no way they could block or dodge it. No chance to survive it. Fear gripped them, and they began to watch their short lives flash before their eyes. Then, they were somewhere else, and alone. Naruto was in what looked like a sewer or leaky basement. Dim light came from the ceiling, but there were no lights. Suddenly he heard a noise, and found himself walking toward it. Soon, he found himself looking at a cage with a seal on it. Behind it was a creature with large red eyes. Naruto said the first thing that came to his mind. Doggy? I am not a doggy, exclaimed the beast. I am the great Kyuubi. Kneel, and tremble before my greatness. Naruto was not impressed. That's a nice bark, from somebody behind a cage. Come on kid, I have waited a long time for this, couldn't you at least act scared? Well, no point now, the mood's ruined. At this the Kyuubi sat down, and started to pout. I can't believe that you're the great Kyuubi that attacked the leaf. This is just sad. The giant kitsune ears went up, but that was it. Just what do you mean by that? Everyone expects demons to be heartless or evil, or whatever. We just can't have feelings. Well I do buddy. You try living in this condition, having no one visit you, and when someone does all he does is insult you. And just for the record, I didn't attack the leaf. I was looking for something in that village, and they attacked me. Naruto was confused. Wait, you were looking for something? Yes, the gate. I wanted to go back home to Demon World. You see, this world and the Demon World were once connected by several gates. Demons and humans could pass into the other at any time. However, we have to close them once you humans begin to imitate us. How did we do that? You humans did it with chakra. Some humans who envied their own power worked hard to mimic us with their chakra, and some humans even captured demons and forced them to mate with others to create families with what you call bloodline limits. Many of our peaceful demons left and sealed away most of the gates and left few open, but hidden. The ones that stayed for revenge. Over time the ones that stayed forgot the reason why they hated humans, but killed them anyway. I, however, stayed to fight them to test my strength against the best. But, as time went on, all of the worthy ones died in my claws, and I found myself waiting decades before someone foolish enough to come along and bother me. In the end, I decided to go home. But when I reached the gate that would take me home, I found a village had been built on top of it. Before I had a chance to walk away, a group of Leafnin attacked me. I fought back and was later sealed inside you. You mean, they started it? They attack you for no reason. The jerks. Humans fear what they don't understand. What they fear, they try to destroy it. Perhaps I should have been the bigger one and walked away. Now I suffer from that mistake. I am now forever bound to you. If you die, I shall as well. Am I dead now? No, if you were I would be out of this cage at the very least. I brought you here to help save our lives and give you power that will continue to protect us. Suddenly, a scroll appeared before Naruto. It opened itself up and just hovered there, waiting. The first gift is my chakra. Call upon it when you need it. I will be keeping you from using too much of it. You see, my chakra could cause you to lose your mind if you use too much of it right now. As you get older and are able to handle more, I shall grant you more. The scroll you see before you is the second gift. Once you sign it, you will be able to summon kitsune to do your bidding. Like my chakra, it will take time for you to summon the more powerful ones. Now sign this scroll and accept my power. And if I don't, we both die. Good point. Naruto bit down on his thumb, went over to the scroll, and signed his name. Wise choice, said Kyuubi, as his red chakra flowed towards Naruto. We shall meet again. Gaara found himself in a large dome. That was the best way to explain it. It was a dome made of sand with a small hole at the top. In the middle of the room was a creature that looked like it was made of sand. The creature had its arms, legs, and tail chained down to the ground. So we are in trouble. Well, could let that happen now, can we? What to do, what to do. Sand shield protects Gaara, but not from this attack. No. Need better power to live, yes he does. The creature continued to rant for some time. After a while Gaara came to realize that it was out of its mind. Hey, who are you? What's going on? How quickly we forget. Why should I give an answer you already know? Silly, that what it is. Waste too. Why do you waste time? We cannot waste time, if we are to live. Whole tale I give you now. Should save you. Should make you strong. Should help you kill better. Kill the father. Kill the sister. Kill the friend. Leave the monk, we like the book. Yes. All Gaara could do was sweat drop and stare at this thing before him. Then all of a sudden the sand began to envelope him. Here you go kitty. Play nice, and spill blood. The second before the wind scar could hit the boys, there was a change. A red glow surrounded Naruto, and his body began to change. Then in a flash, he was out of the way. Gaara, on the other hand, had completely changed into a very large sand raccoon. The wind scar hit his new body, but the damage was minimal compared to his size. Inuyasha smiled. Job well done, boys. Job well done. Thanks for watching my video. Leave a like if you enjoyed my video, and also do consider subscribing to my channel for more awesome content. See you next time. Till then, sayonara.